The Black Death, or the Black Death, is the deadliest disease in the world. It is caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, and is transmitted by rodents and fleas. It can also spread through the air, through direct contact, or through contaminated food or materials. 3 major outbreaks of the plague have occurred in the past. Early Middle Ages during the Eastern Roman Empire in the 6th century AD. Between 541 and 542 AD, an outbreak known as the Justinian Plague. It is believed that the plague, which originated in China, spread to Constantinople from grain imported from Egypt. In addition, the city had a large number of rats and fleas, so it spread rapidly. At its peak, at least 10,000 people per day died in Constantinople, eventually losing more than 40% of its population. It later spread to the Mediterranean in 588 AD in what is now France. Researchers estimate that the Justinian plague had killed more than 100 million people worldwide. The population of Europe fell by more than 50% from 541 to 700. The second period in the 14th and 19th centuries was called the Great Pestilence or Great Plague. It started in southern India and China and spread along the Silk Road, spreading throughout Asia, Europe, and Africa. In Europe, it began as an epidemic in the late 1340s. It is thought that Sino-Mongol traders brought the disease to Europe, causing continuous outbreaks in Europe, such as in Italy. An outbreak during 1338 to 1351 caused 2/3 of the country's population to die, called Great Mortality, and in 1400, a major outbreak occurred in London called the Great Plague of London, causing 70% of the population of 450,000 to die, leaving only 60,000 people. The outbreak continued until the 17th century, called Black Death. The outbreak in Europe during this period resulted in approximately 25 million deaths. The third period, 19th to 20th century, which was the last outbreak, began in Yunnan province, China in 1855. It spread to every continent of the world, causing more than 12 million deaths. At that time, the cause of the disease was still unknown. Until 1894, Alexander Emile Jean Yersin, a French doctor, discovered the causative agent, the bacteria Deadliest pestis, which is a zoonotic disease, zoonosis, related to rodents and fleas. People with this disease will have 3 types of symptoms: pneumonic plague, bubonic plague, and septicemic plague. All 3 types of plague cause death within 5 to 6 days after infection. It can be transmitted to humans in 3 ways: by being bitten by infected fleas, by touching the tissue of an infected animal, and by inhaling the secretions from the respiratory tract of an infected animal. The bacteria were named in honor of their discoverer, Yersinia. After the discovery of the bacteria Yersinia pestis, a cure for plague was invented and tested. A vaccine against plague in lymph nodes was first developed and tested in 1897. Today, plague can be cured if detected early using various antibiotics. Currently, outbreaks of this disease are rare. Until July-August 2009, there was a report of a plague outbreak in Zhejiang City, Qinghai Province, northwest China. There were 3 deaths from pneumonic plague. In addition, 9 more people were infected with this disease, most of whom were relatives of the first victim. According to information in the Ayutthaya Chronicles, 1 edition, BE 2182, before the establishment of Ayutthaya, King Ramathibodi I, King Yuthong, was exiled from China, boarded a junk and landed in Padani, then moved to various seaports such as Nakhon Si Thammarat, Kue Biri, Pratchwap Kirikhan, Phetchaburi, Bangkok, and then came to suppress the epidemic and established Ayutthaya in BE 1893, which corresponded to 1350 AD, the year of the Black Death outbreak in Europe. And from information on the outbreak of the plague in China, which was at the same time, the Ha disease that King Yuthong defeated was likely the Black Death. Later, it was found that the plague from China also spread to Thailand during the reign of King Ramavid of the Ratanakosin period, which appears in old documents. A copy of the royal deeds of Queen Sri Patarindra while she was the regent in Rs 116, printed in the Royal Gazette, Volume 14, Rs 116, regarding the prohibition of ships from Shantou from entering Bangkok in 1897, it stated that the plague, i.e. the plague, has occurred in Shantou. Any ship leaving Shantou and entering this city must anchor at Koh Pai for a full 9 days. If the doctor examines and states that the plague has not occurred and has occurred in that ship, then that ship will be allowed to continue until it docks in this city. As for the first official report of the plague outbreak in Thailand, Dr. H. Campbell Hyde, Director General of the Department of Medical Health, reported on December 20, 1904 that the outbreak occurred in the red and white buildings, which were warehouses in Thonburi province. The area was home to Indian merchants. It is assumed that it probably originated from rats that carried the plague from a merchant ship coming from Bombay, India, and spread from Thonburi to Phranakan side. From there, it spread to various provinces that had trade with Phranakan by land, ship, and train, but there are no exact statistics on the number of deaths. Later in 1913, it was reported that there was a plague outbreak in Nakhon Pathom province, with 300 people dying. And the last time in 1952, there were reports of 2 patients, 1 death, at Takli Market, Nakhon Sawan, which was considered a major incident. The last outbreak of plague in Thailand. Since then, there have been no reports of plague occurring in Thailand until now.